Hello ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Dzair News Live and welcome to this English news edition coming up in the next 20 minutes. According to Interior Minister Noordin Bedoui, the government will introduce new measures aiming at eradicating smuggling phenomenon. Plus, Mediterranean Film Festival is at last setting sail in the eastern province of Annaba after 30 years of absence. And later on in our news program, the OPEC group members in Vienna aren't acting at curbing the global supply set. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for watching us. First, in a visit to inaugurate a new site for police border in Maghnia province of Tlemcen, the Minister of Interior and Local Assemblies, Noordin Bedoui, expressed his intention to eradicate the smuggling phenomenon that took big proportions and became really dangerous. Shakib Lawishi.
Urgent measures will be taken for the next weeks in order to fight the smuggling phenomenon. According to the Minister of Interior and Local Assemblies, smuggling took big proportions and became really dangerous. Therefore, the law aiming to fight it must be revised. We will propose to the government suggestions to revise the law that aims to fight smuggling, because it has loopholes between reality and the laws we are working with. The Minister of Interior, who inaugurated a new site for border police in the province of Maghnia to prevent smuggling in the western area of the country, affirmed that Algeria is willing to deploy all technical and technological means for the success of its operations. We will have a biometric card for fuel, and we are even thinking of using the new biometric identity card to fight this phenomenon. It is worth noting that smuggling can be very negative for the economy of the country. Besides, it can be a window for terrorist activities, as smugglers can finance terrorist operations. Consequently, all security measures and means must be dedicated to stop it, alongside with civil society.
As part of the diversification of national economy program, the government is giving more prerogatives for the local assemblies to encourage and incite more local investments and direct any kinds of initiatives as long as these don't harm agricultural lands. These were the words of Mr. Noordin Bedoui, Minister of Interior Affairs and Local Assemblies. Karim Zakri.
I believe that today we reach a situation which obliges us to think in a new way. With these expressions, the Minister of Interior Affairs and Local Assemblies, Mr. Noordin Bedoui, addressed the mayors of Tlemcen province and hence inferences to all the mayors of the Republic. We want these municipalities and these local assemblies to contribute in the public budget. We don't need to always wait for the budget of the municipality. It needs to make its own, and problems of the budget being unstable and unable to cover for the workers' wages are going to be eradicated. Accompanying small companies and guarding the youth leading them is, according to Bedoui, a responsibility of all the officials of local assemblies. You mayors have a huge responsibility on your shoulders. If these small companies do not succeed, it means that we didn't accompany them. The minister insisted on mobilizing all kinds of investments at the local level, and it's the state's guarantee providing that agricultural lands remain untouched. We are ready to help create new investment areas with only one condition: do not touch agricultural lands. There is no turning back on the decision stating coastal provinces should rely on their own potentials, according to the minister. From now on to the next summer season, I'm not giving a dime to any of the coastal municipalities. I should think as a mayor what I can get from the holiday makers, be it Algerian or foreigner. What kind of income can I get for the municipality's budget? It seems that the curse of the oil crisis has proved to be a blessing after all on investment decisions, since with it, the local authorities have been assigned more prerogatives to entice and direct investment initiatives. However, failure will not be pardoned, as the government won't be held accountable for it.
In order to embellish and give a new face to Dar al-Bayda district, the local authorities have dedicated a significant budget for the renovation and building of new buildings and facilities in various sectors, notably public works, health or educational ones. Shakib Lawishi for more details.
The authorities of Dar al-Bayda municipality have dedicated a high budget in order to give the municipality a new face, especially that Dar al-Bayda is an important city in the capital of Algiers and is also considered one of the richest municipalities. Important projects have been launched in different sectors, notably public works sector, which received a big part of the budget with 2 billion dinars. It will mainly consist of maintaining pavements and roads, public lighting, and construction of green spaces dedicated for children. The budget is very high, therefore we decided to cover all sectors. All water sources will be connected in new canals, and the same goes for the sewage system. Other works will include public lighting, sidewalks, and street networks. The educational sector has been allocated a budget of 5 million dinars to build a new school, with 12 classrooms in addition to renovating 11 others, alongside with building a new school canteen, as well as providing 20 school buses for the transportation of pupils. We have allocated 500 million dinars for the educational sector. Some part of the budget will be dedicated for renovation works and building a new school. For the health sector, 800 million dinars will be dedicated for the building of a new clinic and the renovation of another one. Furthermore, sports sector is getting a big interest by the local authorities as a substantial budget has been given to renovate Ben Rabah Stadium and build a new one in the new residential area, in addition to renovating and widening other stadiums around the municipality of Dar al-Bayda. Indeed, many projects in several sectors, including the cultural one, have received significant budget to better the living conditions of Dar al-Bayda residents and embellish the view of the town.
Some Algerian experts raise some shortcomings and disadvantages that will disappoint the subscribers of LPP program who started the selection of the homes locations, as architectural and construction specifications may contradict aesthetic, technical features as well as lack of facilities. Hints Minaras.
Development housing units, or LPP, occupied over 20 locations in several localities in Algiers, the capital, including Suidania, Bajarrah, Ain Binyan, Burj al-Kifan, Burj al-Bahri, Ain Taya, Rghaya, Stawali, Wlad Fayet, Arwiba, and Zeralda, respectively. The latter were available for LPP subscribers to choose on the official website according to their likings. Subscribers with 6 to 12 times the minimum wage, whose LPP housing units are supposed to be established in the capital's fanciest suburbs, are wondering if the available locations contain all the essential and basic infrastructures. Most of the capital's locations prove to have different transportation means, some of which have advanced means, mainly tramway and subway, as well as being equipped with sport complexes and educational institutes, whereas other locations are known to be near shores, woods, which guarantee a perfect living condition on top of being next to highways, hotels, and business centers. However, there are disadvantages clouding all these privileged locations. Some of them can be as far as 30 kilometers away from the capital, in addition to the utmost absence of transportation means in these regions, let alone most of the housing units were built in disadvantaged neighborhoods where road traffic, overcrowding, and lack of entertainment sites are standards. Subscribers of development housing units are left torn apart whether they are worth the money they paid for. Question remains, will they be satisfied or actually disappointed? Upcoming days would most likely reveal the answer.
Moving on to other news, the China-Africa Cooperation Summit being held in South Africa kicked off with the participation of African heads of state and government, representatives from the AU, and heads of regional organizations and multilateral organizations took part in the proceedings of the first day, including Prime Minister Abdelmalek Sellal, who is representing the President Abdelaziz Bouteflika in the summit. The latter aims at forging strong economic ties with China. Usama Snoussi.
The Forum of China-Africa Cooperation kicked off on Friday in Johannesburg, South Africa. South Africa assumed the role as co-chair of FOCAC at the conclusion of the 5th FOCAC Ministerial Conference in 2012, taking over from Egypt. African heads of states and governments, representatives from the AU, and heads of regional and multilateral organizations took part in the proceedings of the first day, including Prime Minister Abdelmalek Sallal, who is representing President Abdelaziz Bouteflika in the summit. Sallal is accompanied by Minister of Maghreb Affairs, African Union and Arab League Abdelkader Sahel. It is envisaged that the summit will elevate the Africa-China relationship to a new level that would have a beneficial impact and give impetus to Africa's development agenda. Africa and China have forged strong economic relations, particularly in 2009 when China became the continent's largest trading partner. Announcing $60 billion in funding support for Africa, Chinese President Xi Jinping said it would include $5 billion in zero-interest loans and $35 billion in preferential facility and export credit and concessionary loans. It is expected that the summit will adopt the Johannesburg Declaration and Action Plan, which will outline specific measures aimed at consolidating the growing mutual partnership between Africa and China.
The international COP21 conference continues as tensions rise among world leaders over the budget. In fact, who will deliver the amount of money destined to the most affected countries threatened by climate change, which themselves claim development. Siam Sado for more details.
Already the fifth day of heated negotiations held in the COP21 international conference between world leaders who still hesitate about the budget they have to allocate to the countries seriously affected by climate change. Industrialized countries have defined an agreement to minimize global warming effects on December the 11th.
We will probably allocate a sum estimated at €100 billion by the end of next week, including a considerable donation from the United States of America, in addition to interventions from other banks.
For their part, some countries affected from side effects of global warming addressed the message to developed countries in terms of financial support for adaptation to climate change. The latter denounced the bad faith in developed countries. According to sources close to the negotiations, developing countries call northern countries to respect their agreement and transfer the sum promised to be delivered by 2020. South Africa is the only country who's setting up serious measures to protect its population.
Well, as you know, we are in the throes of the El Nino effect in South Africa. A number of farmers are facing drought. There is water rationalization. There are serious problems that our people are actually facing. And now with the rains coming and the soil having been so dry, we run the effect of soil erosion. So all of those challenges are currently on the go and are a direct result of climate change. We are also seeing an increase in the number of areas that are getting drier and the shift towards the east with more rains coming, which are also having devastating effects. So our people are indeed feeling the consequences of climate change. It is for this reason that we hope that the leaders will rise to the challenge and address these root causes of climate change, which is human behavior impacting negatively on the environment.
African countries are most affected by global warming phenomenon. The effects would lead to droughts, food and water shortage, natural disasters and several other diseases would hit African population. Hence, world leaders must shoulder responsibility and minimize the risks.
Terrorism stops African countries these last 4 decades, notably Central African countries, which suffer from Boko Haram terrorist group and other terror organizations. But recently, borders in several African countries, notably South Africa, take serious measures to scrap terrorism. Siham Sado again.
Faced with this new model of asymmetric warfare, Africa is threatened by terrorism, which was born in Nigeria in 1970. Africa therefore lived for nearly 4 decades that France has just discovered this year. The activity of terrorist groups in Africa has led to the spread of over 3.5 million refugees and the death of over 20,000 civilians, among them 60% Nigerians. No less than 10 capitals of Africa have been the target of terrorist attacks in these recent years. In Nigeria, Cameroon, Niger and Chad, people live in constant fear. Women are scared to go out and kids are terrified to go to school because every second can be fatal. In Africa, Boko Haram sect is one of the deadliest terrorist groups worldwide. Villages, schools, houses devastated by Boko Haram suicide bombers attacks, hostage taken, and other barbarous terrorist massacres terrorizing some African societies every day. In this context, we have interviewed the South African embassy to Algeria, Mr. Denis Tokozani Dlomo, to inform us about the measures undertaken to seal off borders and support African zones affected by terrorism.
We need to make sure that the relative deprivation that people feel as a result of their alienation from the societies they find themselves are attended to, and that we work towards the development of a shared destiny as humanity. When we begin to address that, when we begin to work towards common understanding, we will begin to ameliorate the root causes of terrorism.
According to Amnesty International, Boko Haram has abducted 276 innocent teenage students in Nigeria and kidnapped at least 2,000 women and girls in the country since the beginning of 2014. But recently, by the end of 2015, countries in the region have been stepping up their fight against Boko Haram. In a raid backed by the anti-Boko Haram task force, Cameroon's army killed at least 100 Boko Haram fighters and freed 900 hostages on Wednesday.
In their last meeting for the year 2015, the OPEC group members in Vienna aren't acting at curbing the global supply glut, with oil prices hovering near a 6-year low. Cash-strapped countries including Venezuela, Ecuador and Algeria are pressuring Saudi Arabia, among other rich countries, to cut production, yet in vain. Karim Fazzakri.
Crude futures pared gains on Friday after OPEC announced it would keep oil output steady, extending a policy that accelerated a commodity price collapse 1 year ago and has kept markets swimming in roughly 1.5 million barrels of oversupply. The decision keeps OPEC's target production unchanged at 31.5 million barrels per day. In Vienna, OPEC's poorer members had been piling pressure on their richer counterparts led by Saudi Arabia to cut supply. But Riyadh and its allies on Friday stuck to their strategy of protecting market share. Saudi Arabian Oil Minister Ali Al-Naimi said ahead of the meeting growing global demand could absorb an expected jump in Iranian production next year, and that any output cuts won't work unless big producers outside OPEC, including Russia and Mexico, participate. If prices recover sharply, it could revive some U.S. shale production, displacing OPEC crude. Russia, Mexico and other big producers outside OPEC have given no indication they would agree to any OPEC-led output cuts, as they don't see a production cut viable. On the demand side, China is likely to double its strategic crude oil purchases next year to take advantages of a more than 60% fall in oil prices since June 2014. Beijing will add 70 to 90 million barrels of crude to storage tanks in 2016 to build up its strategic petroleum reserves, according to most respondents in a poll of 5 analysts and collected data.
And finally, we shed light in our news edition on Algerian cinema as the activities of the regional theatre Azzeddine Medjoubi Mediterranean Film Festival kick-started yesterday, Wednesday, amid strong participation of 15 Mediterranean countries in the eastern province of Annaba. Hints Minaras.
Mediterranean Film Festival is at last setting sail in the eastern province of Annaba after 30 years of absence, bringing together Arab, foreign and Algerian cinema legends over one red carpet in a brand new, promising edition.
وفينا بالالتزام تجاه
We fulfilled our commitments towards residents of this city. This festival's edition's opening went according to plan in the presence of film legends and with a contribution that would guarantee the success of the edition. We call them to preserve the festival, just like the case with other Mediterranean festivals. We wanted Chile to be our guest of honor for the cultural achievement. This is only a beginning, and the city of Annaba must own up to this festival. It's an opportunity not to be missed. This festival is amongst the most ancient festivals, and I hope this is gonna be a brand new start for the movies that are to be screened.
Several cinematographic achievements, notably films, short films, and documentaries, will compete throughout the 7 upcoming days of the festival that will witness the contribution of both international and local film directors who have excelled in the domain.
I'm really thrilled and honored with my participation in Annaba's Mediterranean Film Festival, and also happy that after a long 30 years of absence, the festival resurfaces once again, thanks to authorities concerned. Not to mention the city is beautiful.
This festival is in good hands. The commissioner of the festival is a movie critique and a director of a lot of experience. This is something which spurs optimism.
Great figures who dedicated their lives for the 7th art are to be remembered in this year's edition of the Mediterranean Film Festival, where diversification will intertwine with beauty and creativity.
At the end of our English news edition. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye for now.